actually, my father, he had a huge record collection, and he was a lot of into music, but not in the funk or jazz. He was more into rock and like more hard rock stuff. Like he liked Deep Purple and Rainbow and Uriah Heep, this kind of stuff. But you know, the music was around at my house, so my father was, you know, he had a like that. He used to listen to records, and he made the mixtapes to the car. To, you know, we had a lot of we had the mixtapes. But anyway, so but until I was 11, I went to the music school just to learn the percussion and drums. But before that, I didn't play anything. You know, I knew that I had some musical talent in me because I could sing and everything. But then after, you know, I went to the music school and started to play the drums, and it felt quite natural for me to play the drums. And then I went to the music college in northern part of Finland, and when I was at college, I felt that okay, you know, I want to be a musician. So and that was music college, so I met a lot of, you know, people, younger people who were also into music, and I got to play a lot of with different guys. And then when I was maybe 19 years old, then I applied to this Sibelius Academy in Helsinki, the music school, which is like this university level music school, and got in there to the jazz department, and you know, started to study really, and you know, learn the drums and also learn to play piano and everything. And step by step, you know, I got the people asked me to play in their band, and that's how it kind of started. I think my own record collection started with the heavy metal records. I remember, like I got, I think first was maybe Iron Maiden album. Actually, I'm not sure was it like a Power Slave or something, but that was first album. And then those, you know, I was a lot of into Iron Maiden and different, you know, heavy metal bands. Before that, I used to listen to a bit more like this Duran and these kind of bands. But when I started to play the drums, then I somehow figured that all the interesting drummers are playing jazz or funk or something like that. Of course, the heavy drummers were great, but somehow I felt that okay, jazz is something because those drummers are playing some cool things. So I want to learn that stuff, and that's how I got more into jazz music. And then at that time I was maybe 12 or 13, and then I just started to listen a lot of jazz. But that time it was like more like fusion, like Billy Cobham and you know, Chick Corea and stuff from the, you know, 70s, 80s, that kind of sound. Yeah, but the record collection started to, you know, get a bit bigger. But I used to go a lot to the libraries. You know, the SoSo, we had a great library, and there was a lot of records. You know, in my hometown, which is called SoSo, they had so I went there and borrowed the records and you know, tape, recording the record for my tapes, and then I was listening with my Walkman, and that was that time. I remember I was in one artist I really liked was called Toja. She was an English singer, and her music was this kind of it was, how do you say, it was not fusion, but this kind of progressive, strange music. I remember I was 11 or 12, and I was listening to that kind of stuff, and after now when I think about it, it was great that, you know, I was into this kind of, you know, I didn't only listen to this normal music, normal pop music, so I wanted to find something different. For me, I think if I think about funk, I would always say that even Billy Cobham was more like fusion, but if you listen to Billy Cobham's Spectrum record, and it's so funky, the way he plays the, you know, the grooves, and So I would say that's maybe the Spectrum was the first funk record for me, but actually I can't remember which was the first one. Maybe people doesn't consider this as a funk, but also like I was much into this British band called Level 42, which was like a pop band in a way. But when they started, they made their first albums. It was really funky, like this kind of. Maybe the Level 42 was for me the first band that I really, felt that this is funky. In a way, they were playing and of course they were, that was in the 80s, so the sound wasn't so raw at that time. But of course, I've heard like early on James Brown. I know who he was, and and of course that's the real fun for me. But maybe at that time still, I was, you wanted to hear the kind of sound, the dated sound in a way. In the 80s, when somebody was making synth pop, it was like the sound of the day in a way. And when you are young, it's hard to go to the to listen to the music from the 60s because it sounded old-fashioned, It was the music of my parents' childhood, So it was like this is dated. This is not, hip in a way. But of course, after some years, I figured out that the most hippest stuff is coming from the 50s and 60s and 70s. But yeah, one thing came to my mind also. There was this Finland, like this kind of comedy show. Comedy show, and there was also this one thing where there was this very funky groove, only the drummer and bass player thumping, of course it was like more like 70s sound, but this very funky groove. And this was also for me when I heard also in that program that I was always, what is this? This is so good. It's so good, but that was funky. And I have the record, but now I can't remember the artist. What was the artist name? It was 1997. I bought my first sampler, and then I bought my first turntable. And at that time, I was playing jazz and I was really into jazz music, but at the same time, I really, the drum and bass and jungle was a, new big thing, and it hit me very hard. I really liked it because of the great drums and then learned in a way that the stuff is made out of old break beats, the drum breaks, and then I bought the sampler and I wanted to be able to make this kind of music myself. And at the same time I figured out, okay, all these break beats and this is coming from the DJ tradition, the way the DJs were playing for the break dancers and that stuff. And so I have to learn to be a DJ to understand the the meaning and the idea in this music. So it was 1997 when I bought the first sampler and the turntables and started to really collect records in a way and try looking for digging for samples and digging for records. And at that time I was playing with different groups around Finland and also abroad, and but I went all the time to the flea markets, just to find the records. And I just got, looked at the cover, okay, this looks hip, this looks good, I buy this, because they were so cheap at that time. People at that time, the CDs were the coolest thing, and they wanted to get rid of all the LPs, and you could find very good records for very small price. So just buying records and wanted to learn how to sample. And for me, at the time, DJ Shadow, he was my hero for I was into hip hop, but in a way, DJ Shadow, the way he was, what he could make out of the samples and make with the sample was something, revolutionary in a way. I was playing a lot of different stuff. I didn't so much play drum and bass because I was playing mostly in the you know, restaurants or clubs where, you know, you could play, you know, soul, you could play even some jazz and you know, funk, some hip hop, whatever, like mixed. I wasn't into one thing or so, but at the time also we did a lot of this kind of gigs with that. I was DJing and there was like a trumpet player, a saxophone player playing over the, you know, beats and records. And at the time I was, you know, of course trying to find music that you know, there wasn't too much things happening, and like the, of course, because of the DJ Shadow and DJ Crush and that stuff, I really liked always More Wax. More Wax was a great label at the time, but this try to find this kind of music where you know, there's room for a sax player to play something over. Yeah, there was some. Actually, Didier, you know Didier very well. Didier was and is very good DJ, and he was very like inspirational DJ for me, because you know he was very open-minded, and but the way he was spinning the, you know, funk stuff and also the, you know, hip hop stuff, and he was, I think he used to win this scratch competition in Finland and,
oh, really?
at the time, yeah, and but I look, you know, I really like him and love him a lot. Thank you, Didier.
Yeah, thank you.
But of course there were other DJs also in Finland, great ones. But of course I was, you know, trying to, you know, learn the scratching myself, and I was also part of the project where I was only just DJing, being the kind of scratch DJ in a jazz band and this kind of stuff. I didn't play drums at all.
What's the name of that project?
There was a band called SoSo.
SoSo.
SoSo. We did one album. That was great, and that was a great learning experience for me to be in a band and not playing drums, doing something else, you know. And I was also with this kind of band called Don Johnson Big Band, which was not a big band. It was this kind of rap hip hop group with some real instruments. So I used to also tour with them, to be the scratch DJ with them. So yeah. It wasn't long ago. I think it was maybe 5 years ago something, when I played in Tokyo in this very small club. You know, we were playing there with, I don't know, maybe we were playing with Five Corners Quintet or Nicola Conte. We were playing in Tokyo, and there's a great guy called Sunaga, who's a DJ, and he's been releasing a lot of music, and he asked me to, you know, play a set in a very tiny small club in Shibuya in Tokyo. And somehow, you know, it felt so good, because people in Japan, always when you go to play the, you know, the music there, they kind of really appreciate what you are doing, you know. You feel like you are something special in a way, because they are so kind, and you can see that they are very enthusiastic. So playing at the club, and I maybe 1 hour set, and I just had also only the 7 inches, because when going Japan you don't want to get any overweight, because when you come back you buy so many records from Japan, so then you will get over it. So I took only the 7 inches, and I was playing mostly, you know, jazz, but I had the Winston's Amen, you know, classic break stuff, and that's but maybe it's the most memorable in a way, because I really, it's felt so great. Even there was maybe 30 people. I think I would say that when we played with that Five Corners Quintet, with that group, when we played in Roskilde Festival in Denmark, it was a great experience, because, you know, it's a huge rock festival, and we played like I think it was 12 at night when we played in this huge tent, and there was a lot of people, and we were playing jazz, and the people were like, you know, going crazy in a way. So it's something I would say was amazing. Well, I can say that I really liked maybe 4 years ago. I was in Pori Jazz Festival, which is a big jazz festival in Finland, and I saw this American piano player VJ Iyer and his trio playing there. Like somehow the moment when they played this 1 hour set outdoors, you know, stage, and it had some kind of magic which affected me. I really liked it. But maybe there's been, you know, more important gigs before that, but now I can't remember. I think it's because jazz gives you more freedom to, you know, experiment, and it's a bit wider. Under name jazz you can do very, you know, different kind of things. But maybe funk and groove, it's more like there must be a groove in that music. But with the jazz you can be very open, you know. It doesn't have to be on time or something. You can you can be freer, and I want to at that in this part of my life I want to feel free when I play, you know. So, you know, the music can go different directions, and there must be because for me it's hard to play every time with like a same way, and of course with the funk music and that you have the groove. This track has this kind of groove, and you play that groove, and it's great because it's the essence of that track. But with the jazz, you know, you can come up with different days, you can come up with different kind of things, and it's more interesting for me and more fresh, because I don't want to repeat myself with this, like the same way all the time. And that's also why I'm maybe doing different kind of styles and going to different directions with my music, because I'm not bored with the funk or this kind of stuff, but at this time I'm hearing something different, and I have to, you know, follow my instinct in that sense, because otherwise no one else can do it. I have to do it. So this is very hard to explain my evolution, because somebody else should, you know, do it, because it's hard for me. I've always just done what I'm, you know, kind of what I wanted to do, and didn't ever plan what kind of drummer I will be, and still I'm at this time I'm still, you know, learning things and try to learn new things with the drums, and, you know, find different ideas and new sounds. But I started as playing a bit heavy metal, then I got to the fusion. But when I went to the music college, then and at the time, you know, I started to get more into the old 50s, 60s jazz music, because I wanted to learn the kind of basics of jazz, and it's coming from, you know, from the history. So if I want to do something in a year 2018, I want to know what's done before me, you know, in a way. So I wanted to learn the things which have been done before me, and but then in the, you know, I played the jazz, but of course then the sampling thing and the drum and bass and hip hop, those and kind of new soul, whatever, you know, started to affect, you know, you wanted to change your drumming and learn new ways how to, you know, play the drums in a way, the beats, and like a very silly example, like when you start to play the drums, the main thing is that you try to be very, you know, try to play very clearly and on time, like. But then, you know, J Dilla started to make the beat, which is like something, you know, as a drummer, you why, you know, it sounds terrible, but in a way, you know, it sounds very cool. So this kind of course, these kind of things affected how I felt about the, you know, the drumming, and then in some point, you know, I wanted to really, you know, learn to play this kind of old, you know, like Jabo Starks and Clyde Stubblefield, James Gatcham, this kind of, you know, funky stuff. And yeah, it's been like a road going there and there. But of course, at the same time, I know that the way I am as a person, it always affects how I make music, you know. Even if I try to play like Questlove, I don't, you know, sound like Questlove. I like sound like me. And, but as a drummer, most interesting thing is for me to get a lot out of small kit of drums, you know. You know, you can approach it in so many ways. You can play it by hand or with a stick or whatever, and that's interesting, and make music out of drums. It's always the basic idea, not to be a, you know, skillful, flashy drummer. I like the guys who, you know, hit once with a cymbal in the right time in a song and that's enough. Yeah. So, yeah, okay, keep it simple. Well, it was actually, I think, with the jazz music, it's the tradition, you know, from the, you know, early days, the 50s, 60s, the guys used to play with the suit song, you know. And also, like, if you look at the James Brown band, you know, they were very tight looking guys.
That's
you know?
right.
So I think at that time when we started to play with the Five Corners Quintet with the band, I was kind of part of the band and was leading the live band, you know. We decided that okay, our uniform will be suit, you know, we play with the suit on always. And which is kind of nice, you know. It gives you are like a unit in a way, and everybody looks nice but yeah, and it's kind of polite to look sharp in a way when you perform. But of course you can perform with baggy jeans or whatever. So, but with the music we did at the time, the suit was, you know, fit with the music. But yeah, but of course, you know, the times change and the clothes change. I'm not trying to follow any trend in a way. I just want to, you know, try to look okay. Good question. Maybe it must have been an album or EP with the band called Nuspirit Helsinki. That was, you know, in the 2000, maybe late 90s or something. I think that must have been first while. Yeah, because at the time, yeah, the vinyl wasn't, of course, it existed, but it wasn't a, you know, big thing like comparing nowadays, because it's a hip thing again. But
so Nuspirit Helsinki.
Nuspirit Helsinki, yeah, it was great group, and I learned. It was great experience and a group where I learned a lot of things. And after the Nuspirit Helsinki, we started the Five Corners Quintet. There was some same people around, and you know. But Nuspirit Helsinki was more based on like this kind of electronic music with the house, new soul, this kind of different you know, vibes. But we did a lot of gigs with that, and actually we played it in St. Petersburg with the most of the stuff was recorded here. I used to, at the time, most of the stuff was recorded with, it's somewhere here, with my 4-track tape recorder. It's somewhere, the legendary tape recorder is somewhere here. I'll show it later. I got it actually from my cousin. Yeah. I haven't used it for a while and I hope it still works. I had it in my backpack and I had 3 mics or something, and I came here and, you know, recorded the drums and recorded the vibraphone, which is somewhere there, and but then I and some overdubs were done at my house, but the foundation is recorded here. This is actually funny vibraphone. This is Finnish made vibraphone from the, I don't know when but it's an old one, yeah. This is the combo.
Combo, Vasa.
Yeah. I would say it took maybe 1 year to really finish it, because of course I was doing a lot of different things and I couldn't come every day here to record, but it was good times. I really, it was very nice time. At that time we moved to this one flat, and I have good memories about that. Chansey McBride he's a guy actually who I met. He's an American basketball player. He lives in Helsinki, but at the time he used to date one girl from the town where I'm from, and that's how we had this party in my hometown where we played, and he visited there, and that's where I first met him. But then I met him because I used to go to the, practicing the basketball playing, and he was coaching some guys, and I always thought that he has a great voice, and I asked him to, do the roll call, and he already did 1 track in my Teddy Rock 7 album. He was also doing this kind of spoken word there, so. Actually, I thought that it wasn't so successful. At least because I remember for many people, when this was released, and the Rikitik Records, the label, they were the label who released the Five Corners Quintet and many other things. But the stuff that they were releasing was more like, in a way, jazzy compared to this one. And at the time the label was doing okay, and people were interested about the label, but I think the reviews and people didn't get the idea with this album so much well. So I think some people did, but I think many people didn't. But for me, it was years later than when I was touring, for example, with some jazz group in Germany, and then I met some guys who were like, the Stans Brothers album was for us like it was like a very important album, and that's the greatest response when that's nice. I'm very happy about it because
that's dope.
But so, and of course like come seeing this as a because I like I'm very proud of the album, because it tells about me a lot, and tells about the time, because this was something I was really much into, and coming up with this kind of album. So Yeah, I played all the instruments except the saxophone in one and the vocals. You know. But also the saxophone is kind of it's sampled saxophone line. So, but everything else I played, and of course there's some samples. You know, I used some samples in some tracks. But the idea was also like the, you know, mix the samples and the real playing and everything like in a way that you can't, you know, say which one is sample and which one is played. So that's the idea also. Well, there's one track there is I think there's like sample drums in the bright moments. I think the drums are sampled, and also like the upside the head there's a sampled drums from somewhere.
We will not say.
I know, maybe 1,000, maybe 500. I don't know the LPs. I think at that time also the CDs. Yeah, people were buying the CDs, and I remember there's like this Stockman, which is the biggest, you know, how did this store in the center of Helsinki. You know, they had a record, you know, store at their apartment, and they were like, I went there and I saw, because they ordered a lot of, you know, when Rickety Records released the album, they ordered a lot of those, and they had a lot of those CDs, and I went to the shop and I saw, oh shit, they have so many CDs, they won't ever sell these CDs here, but because of the music, but you know.
Roll call.
After the album, you know, people asked us to, you know, could you know, perform it live? And at first I thought that no, it can't be. But then I thought, okay, I'll start a band and we'll play the music live. And we did, you know, shows we played mostly of course in Finland, but we played in Germany and somewhere else also abroad. And the lineup was with me drums and my brother Esa, he was playing bass, and Didier was playing guitar, and Mikko Helevä organ player. So we didn't have vibes and that, but we were playing these tracks. But I think the live band was even more like more funkier in that sense, because yeah. It's possible, yeah. Somebody asked me about it like a couple of years ago, that could you come and play in some small festival or something. At that time we didn't do it, but yeah, it's possible, you know, somehow. yeah, it's hard to explain what happens, but basically it's, I don't, when sitting behind the drum set and playing with other people and playing music, because it's a blessing to be able to play music, and it's something I really love, and it's very important for me, and it's a big joy. Every time I play music, I really enjoy it. And so going and performing to people, I feel happy when I play. So it's about it, and I'm of course when I see myself playing and see my whatever I do, I don't like it so much, but it's how I am, when I'm dealing with the music. Of course I'm not, when I'm not playing music, I'm not, maybe a bit different, but it's still the inside, it's the same guy who is very fascinated about music, and every time I'm dealing with the music, I feel like I'm small kid, playing with new things, and just enjoying it, trying to find something new. I don't want to even I don't want to consider myself as a professional musician. I feel like I'm it's my hobby to play the drums. The profession is everything else, when I'm tour, I have to travel and whatever, but whenever I play the music, that's a joy and hobby. I play tennis also. I like sports a lot, like that's something, also like with the basketball, playing in a team that all the guys are, they are not musicians, so you are totally, you get rid of the music and that stuff. I've been a teacher in this Sibelius Academy. I have, this year I have only one student. Last year maybe I had two, and of course some people call me every now and then to ask, could I make a private drum lesson, and I'll do it, because it's important also that music. It's also it's about sharing things, because I've learned so much things from my teachers and from the records, and of course I buy the record, but still I've heard music for free in a way also. So yeah, and when the main thing is that when somebody is, I can feel and see that somebody is very enthusiastic, and somebody really wants to take a lesson or talk about the music with me, like you also, you talk about the music with me, and you are really into it, and I can feel that. So then it's that's what warms my heart, which is like, okay, this is about the, and it's about the communication and relation. No, there's not. Of course, I wouldn't say that the Finnish people, of the Finnish musicians who I've played with, are superstars. But there of course there's been guys here who I looked up, and then finally I got to play with them, and it was important. I would say like Jukka Perko, saxophone player, who I still play with, and he's very, very dear friend of mine. When I was 22 or something, and got to play with them, because he was a bit older, and he was already very, very well-known artist, that somebody whose records I've been listening to, and then when I got to his band and play with him, it was like that's the best way to learn music, when you get the chance to play with the better musicians than yourself, and perform with them. That's even, I felt always that's much more important than going to the school to learn music, because you learn it by doing it. there's this one German guy, Jan Jelinek. He's doing this kind of a bit strange electronic, I don't know what kind of electronic music, which is very interesting, and he's somebody I thought that I would like to do something with him. I think there was this kind of, in the jazz magazine, they voted about the best jazz drummer in some, like, years ago, and maybe I was the best jazz drummer, but of course there's a lot of great jazz drummers, also other, so I wouldn't consider myself as a best, you know, I'm one of them. I like a lot a guy called Mika Kallio. He's great jazz drummer. He's very, his style I like. Jukki Suotila, he's been my teacher. He's great drummer. He was very important teacher for me, and a bit older generation, Reiskalainen, he's great. There's a lot of great drummers, but maybe those guys. For the first time when I was 12, in a camp for 3 weeks. Pioneer camp, there was this, Salo, my hometown, they had a friendship town or something called, it was written like Artsep, but I don't know how to. Of course, and we went to Moscow to see the, mausoleum and all the stuff. But it was interesting because the year was like 1985 or 1986. So it was still real Russia. I think we were maybe just once, and but before that I was also in Novosibirsk, playing in this short Soros jazz festival, like maybe, I don't know, 1998 or something. And we stayed also there for 1 week. It was a great experience. I was happy, but of course it was also kind of surprise, because it's funny that these two countries are so close to each other, and there's a lot of Russian people, living in Finland and in Helsinki, but the info about the Russian culture and what's happening, so it's there's a huge border between, in a way, because maybe because of the language and everything. So and of course I should be more aware of what's happening, but I don't know so much, about, like, for example, about Russian music, I'm so much more into the music always. Like, of course the lyrics and the singing is music, but still, it's always, I'm more fascinated about the track than about the lyrics. It's been that forever, and that's maybe the reason I've been always playing, most of the time, of course, with Joe Stans we did the music with the lyrics, but mostly I've been doing instrumental music. I've been a huge fan of Hermann Hesse. His books, in some point in my life, I started to read his books, and I found a lot of wisdom and philosophic things, and I learned a lot from his books. He was a big influence, and I like a book called Siddhartha. It's one book that I could recommend to everybody to. I like movies, but I'm not so much into movies actually. I'm more about the books. I've never been a big like this kind of movie fan. There's a great movies like a new movie called Moonlight, which came out like maybe last year or something. It was very effective. I really liked that movie. It was a great movie. But I've never been a like big fan. Maybe in some point I was big fan of Spike Lee, his movies, you know. Like he has this jazz movie, Mo Better Blues, but also the Malcolm X and the Clockers. The Clockers is one movie I really liked because there was this great like the first scene. There's this rap song. The beat is by DJ Premier, and there's this different rappers. It's the group was called Brooklyn Dodgers.
Never taking shorts, cause Brooklyn's the borough. We did it like that, and now we do it like this. We did it like that, and now we do it like this.
Yeah. Now block kids who got the cocaine. Don't tell me it's the little kids on slow train. The metaphor sent from my brain to my jaw. It comes from other places, not the ticket places.
Yeah, Spike Lee, his movies I really like. Well, I could say John Coltrane and Love Supreme. That album is that's that kind of album. But it's also like an album which, like for me, in an emotional level, it always touches me, and also the spirituality of John Coltrane and his music. It's much more than just the notes and just the skills of playing saxophone or drums. It's much more deeper in that sense. So, Love Supreme. I know it's not easy music in that sense. I also love like Miles Davis' Kind of Blue is amazing album. I even have the Russian pressing. But even, you know, it's much more easier to approach that album compared to the Love Supreme, because Love Supreme the both albums have great atmosphere, great sound, you know. But somehow maybe the Love Supreme it's more. I feel it more in my heart, you know. We got a gift, you know. We are very fortunate that we were born, you know, into this world, because it's something, you know. It's hard. You can't explain why you became part of this world and your, you know, spirit light up when you know, from somewhere. But I would say that I'm here also because I put in here, and I'm here because I should, you know, learn to live. That's a challenge, you know. Be able to, you know, adjust the way you are and learn how to live. And of course it's a challenge until you pass away, I think. Because we shouldn't be, in any point in our life, we shouldn't feel that we are, you know, now we are ready, now I know how life is and how I should be, and now I'm wise enough or something. Well, it's a challenge throughout and you'll never be ready, but the learning is that keeps you going, you know. You won't get stuck in some kind of ideology or something. You should be open to it, and the way to be open is just to, you know, be able to learn from your mistakes and able to learn from other people, not think that you are, you know, better than anybody else. I'm not so much, you know, thinking about even my own future. You know, I'm trying to learn to live every day. You know, try to enjoy these moments and not worry about tomorrow. I know there's a lot of bad things happening and the world is crazy But at the same time, I don't want to worry about it. I don't want to, you know, stress myself with those questions in a way. And also same thing about the music. I'm you know, just try to follow my instinct in that sense. But the idea, you know, what I want to learn and what I want to do with the music is do something good. Good to some, you know, to other people. Of course, for me to get out of something out of myself, but at the same time, you know, make somebody else like feeling special or feeling good. And seeing life as a gift, you know, like I said, seeing it's a positive thing and a gift. But I don't know what's going to happen in 10 years or 50 years and where we are going and where should we go. It's somebody wiser, he will think about it, and I will enjoy my life as, you know, as long as it's possible. Because, you know, cherishing the moment where you are right now is the only thing you can do, because you don't know what's going to happen in the next 5 minutes, really. You have an idea about what's going to happen, but you really don't know, because there's always a coincidence, you know, the roof will fall. I know some words. I know da and niet and niet poнимай, spasiba, пожалуйста, руки вверх.